to call the meeting to order. May we have the roll call, please?
Well, thank you.
Ahí está. Comienza, muchacho.
It's 12 o'clock. Today is the 28th of April, Tuesday, 2026.
I'm going to go ahead and call roll call. Ernestita Tita Vela, Chair, is absent. Karina Cari Lizondo, absent. Mercurio Martinez Jr.,
Present.
Adriana Alexander, absent. I will be, Esteban Rangel present. I will be in this meeting as well. Judge, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Item number 3 is the presentation of the 2025 November Quarterly Investment Report. I'd like to call on Mr. Villa.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Dr. Ramirez, for the record, Cesar Vela, VP of Finance and Administration. This first item is the presentation and for approval of the November 2025 Quarterly Investment Report. And for that, we have Mr. Richard Long from Valley View Consulting joining us virtually. And he will be making the presentation for the quarterly reports, both the November 2025 Quarterly Investment Report and the February 2026 Quarterly Investment Report. At this time, I'll go ahead and defer to Mr. Long, who's again joining us via Zoom. Good afternoon, Mr. Long.
Good morning, or I guess noon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me, I apologize. I had the February report open. Let me quickly open the November report also. And we'll take a quick look at them.
Okay.
There's plenty going on in the investment world right now, as many of you know. I'm stalling here while I'm opening the report. Obviously, all the events in the Middle East and domestically are adding to our challenge. So, am I sharing, Mr. Vila?
Yes, please, sir.
Or, okay, all right. Let me do that quickly here then. So if we do the November report first. It's a layout that I think, yeah, there we go, that the committee's used to now. Cover page represents or acknowledges that the investment portfolio is in compliance with the Public Funds Investment Act and the college's investment policy, and it's signed by your 2 investment officers, or your final version would be signed by both. From a shift from August to November, your balances went up from about 125 million to about 132 million. The average yield on the portfolio was 3.55%, which is again in line with the market. We unfortunately have had a substantial decrease in rates from a year or so ago, and that represented not quite $1.2 million in interest income for the fiscal year, or excuse me, for the quarter. I won't spend too much time on this economic because we'll talk about it more when we get into the February report and then even some updates since then. But you can see on the holdings page that the college is mostly taking advantage of the Falcon money market account to earn interest, a little bit in a couple of the pools, and then has started to build a pretty substantial ladder to help balance the portfolio and provide some stability to the interest income. And definitely last fall and through your February report when we get into it, the market was largely anticipating that during calendar year 26 and then even into calendar year 27, the Federal Open Market Committee was going to continue to reduce interest rates. And so the latter was helping, as I mentioned, to provide some stability to the interest income. Your breakdown was about 60% in cash equivalents, the pools, the demand deposit account, and the money market account, and about 40% in CDs at this point. And you can see they were laddered out through about a year. Your average balance seems to be bouncing between about 120 and about $140 million. The comparison as required by the Public Funds Investment Act shows that you increased some balances in Falcon. You had 2 CDs mature in those center columns, the decreases, the -5 million, -5 million. But then you did roll them into 2 more CDs And so that kept the portfolio about the same from August to November. Your allocation in primarily operating, a little bit in restricted, a little bit in endowment, and a little bit in construction. And then that's the comparison versus August. And that was pretty quick through that one. I was thinking we would jump more to the February, or are there some questions about August? Okay. Let me shift over then.
Hold on, sir. The next item is a different agenda item, and so that must be read. So I think at this
Oh, okay.
point, any questions on the November quarterly?
Just for the record, I went ahead and called roll. Ms. Vela is present. Ms. Ernestina Tita Vela is present. Thank you. Ms. Vela, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. Number 4, the presentation of the February 2026 quarterly investment report from Cesar Vela and Valley View. You can go ahead.
Yes, board members, Mr. Long will be making the presentation for the 26
Fine.
February
Thank
report.
you.
Let me. Here we go. The challenge of getting all this to work correctly. There we go. Did we get February up there?
Mhm.
Very good. Again, same cover page, same acknowledgement of the compliance with the act and the policy, and same investment officer signatures. Substantial change from November to February, and that you've got a large amount of your revenues, obviously. You went from 130 million up to almost 170 million. And unfortunately, the average yield did come down on the portfolio as the Fed did some additional easing and took us down to about a 3.25. Some of that is also the large cash balances that you've kept at Falcon, a good chunk of which has been reallocated since this report, so that's helpful. Combined with the $1 million in the previous quarter and the $1 million this quarter, your year-to-date interest income was approximately $2.3 million. So again, still producing some substantial interest income for you. From a market standpoint, in upper left-hand corner of the Treasury yield curve, you see we had kind of this little dippy curve, and that highlighted that the market was anticipating that the Fed was going to continue to lower yields, and so the short-term yields were a little higher, the overnight yields were a little higher because that's where the current Fed funds market was. But then as the Fed was going to reduce yields, it was anticipated that yields in the 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month, that sort of thing would fall as the Federal Open Market Committee made those decisions. Right around the end of February is when the Iran war started, and so all of that speculation got shifted. And right now there is very little outlook that the Fed will reduce rates further during calendar year 26. There are a couple of optimists that think maybe fallish, October, November, December, the Fed could get back to reducing yields. But again, the percentages of folks who think the Fed's going to reduce rates is very small at this point.
Mr. Long, is there a way to increase the size of your screen so that we can see that a little bit bigger?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
Does
kind
that
of,
help?
not really. There we
There
go.
we
No.
go.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
helpful.
very-
Much better.
A lot better.
Okay.
Much better.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, it makes it easier for me to read too. Okay, so we were doing the Treasury yield curves, and then I was going to highlight the S&P 500. Even with all the turmoil, the stock markets are doing well. The S&P has created a new all-time high, and right now is trading just below 7,200, which is slightly off of that high. But again, the market is perceiving that the international conflict right now and the disruption in the oil markets, which could impact inflation, are going to be temporary, and that longer term, the U.S. economy is still going to be very strong. So let's keep our fingers crossed that does happen. To give you an indication of volatility in oil, prior to the Iran conflict, West Texas Intermediate was trading in the $65 to $70 barrel range. At one point, it peaked at about $120 shortly after the war. started, or late March, early April, it's now back down below 100. So again, there's some stability happening in those markets, and each day we look for a better outcome. Again, so the portfolio, as we mentioned, a large chunk of the money you collected went into the Falcon balances. So you're almost $100 million in February. Again, when we do the May report, you'll see that that's been reduced substantially, about the same balances in the two pools. You still have this substantial ladder, majority of which were still at over 4%, although, of course, those are going to be maturing soon and potentially reinvested. But it did provide some good protection to you for a while. You have since the end of February bought one CD at a yield of a 3.85. So again, that'll help balance the portfolio a little bit better. Same thing in the portfolio composition, about 70% cash equivalents, which is the pools, DDA, MMA, and about 30% securities or CDs, in your case, all CDs. It would be nice to gradually increase that percentage, at least to maybe 50%, and potentially higher depending upon the outlook for the market. And as you can see, your balances, are still in that low 100s to upper hundreds now. You're almost at 180 million this last go round. From a change in portfolio standpoint, the big chunk increased your Falcon Bank balances. And since February, there's been a large investment in a CD, and so that's been reduced substantially. Then you had one maturity, the -5 million back in January, that you then reinvested to a February of 27 maturity. The allocation is going to be about the same, fortunately, with the bulk of the money in the current operating funds, about 20 million in restricted funds, 6 million in endowment, and a little bit less than 6 million in construction funds. So you are spending some of that construction money. And to compare it to November that we just looked at, you can see how, again, most of the balance increase was in operating funds. And sort of short and sweet. Any questions, or can I get anything in more detail?
I'm good.
No. No. Anybody do you have a question?
No, we're fine.
We're fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Long.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll go into number 5, the presentation of the March 2026 financial report. Cesar Vela.
Now you can just close up the Zoom and then.
Good afternoon, board members. For the record, Cesar Vela, VP of Finance and Administration. Included in your board packet, you received a copy of the financial report for the month of March. I'll begin the presentation by going over the general operating revenues as of March 31st. The revenues totaled 79,246,194. That is 90.6% of our budget. The only item to report right now is that we are still pending to receive the FAST funding for the dual program. We have currently budgeted 2.4 million for the year. We're pending the fall allocation, and also the spring allocation now is due. We will be following up with the coordinating board to make sure that where we're at with that deposit. The other item to report is under tuition and the local funds, under the tuition and fees. The transfer for the payment of the revenue bonds of 4.5 million, that is still pending. That payment is due August the 1st. So from the total revenue of 79 million, we still need to transfer out the 4.5 million for the payment. for the revenue bonds. That is the same for the a transfer for the contractual tax note, which is under local taxes. We have a transfer pending of 3,059,829. And that is for the, again, the payment that is due August the 1st, I'm sorry. As far as the other revenues, under the other funds, you just saw the presentation on the investment. Out of the amount that was reported as investment income on the investment report, we have budgeted 2.5 million just on the general operating portion. Out of that, we have already recognized 2.1 million, which is 86.2% of our budget. And again, we are expected to reach the 2.5 million that we projected for the year. As far as the other sources, we budgeted 150,000 for the year. We have already recognized 461,808 in other source revenue, and that is attributed to the sales that we've had during the year for surplus inventory. We do auction those out on online. So we have already collected, like I said, 461,000 in revenue from those sales. Any questions on the revenues? No? For expenses, as of March 31st, we have expenses totaling 46,872,190. That represents 54.15% of our budget. We're currently in line with last year's report. Last year at this point, we were at 52% of our budget. For the year, salaries total 23.3 million, which is 52% of our budget. French benefits, 6.7 million, which is 63% of our budget. Equipment purchases total 4.4 million, or 53% of our budget. Supplies, both instructional and office supplies, total 2.6 million. And student expenses, 1.3 million. And under student expenses, we do have the Palomino Pledge and the student meal plan. So again, for the year, we've recognized 1.3 million in expenditures, which represents 34% of our budget. Again, we don't have any major variances to report compared to the budget and compared to last year when it comes to expenses. For the other funds, for the Global Logistics Center, we've already recognized the total state appropriation amount of 141,164. We have expenses for the center of 54,731, which is 38.8% of our budget. As of March 31st, we have a net increase to the fund balance of 86,433. For auxiliary services, we have a budget of 1.3 million. We have already recognized revenues of 1,326,293, which represents 96.8% of our budget. Expenses total 1,063,743, which is 77.7% of our budget, for a net increase of 262,550 for the fund balance. Restricted funds, we had revenues of 29.9 million and expenses of 29.9 million. 25.2 million of that is from our federal grants, which are made up of our Title IV grants, which is Pell, Federal Work Study, and SEOG. Tax collections, as of March 31st, we've collected $47,260,092. That represents 93.36% of our tax levy for 26. Compared to last fiscal year, we are pretty much on target. Last year, we had collected 93.50%, I'm sorry, of the tax levy. And prior to that, we were at 92.27%. So at this point, we are on target to have a collection rate of 98% for the fiscal year. And the last item to report is an update on the general operating fund balance. We began the fiscal year with a fund balance of 38 million. The revenues for the year totaled 79.2 million. We had expenses of 46.8 million for the year. We do have a transfer out of 18 million out of the general operating fund balance. 17.9 million of that is for the deferred maintenance projects, and this is to cover the Johnson Control project that we're currently undertaking here at the Fort McIntosh and also at the South Campus. We're again replacing chillers, cooling towers, and doing LED upgrades here at the Fort McIntosh campus. So again, we transferred out 17.9 million to the deferred maintenance. And then we also had a transfer of 290,000, which was to cover some expenditures for the Moore building. So the net change right now to the fund balance as of March 31st, we have an increase of 14.1 million. So right now we do have an ending fund balance as of March 31st of 52,193,656. Again, we still have 5 months of operations to close out the fiscal year. At this point, that concludes the report. Any questions or any?
Yeah, Esteban.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Vela, on the student expense, if at the end of the year, if we could get a number of how much we spent on the Palomino pledge and also on meals, I would just like to know so that the board could know how much we're participating on that. And if possible, I don't know if we can, on the Palomino pledge, if we could get a count of how many, if it's 1 million, okay, how many students were they in those 1 million, for example? I think it's important that the board knows how much we're participating on that. If we could get that towards the end, hopefully maybe at the end of the last financial meeting that we have, if you could get that for us, I think that would be helpful so the board can kind of know. Yes?
We'll go ahead and include that information with the August report.
Okay.
And that way we'll
That sounds
present
good.
that detail.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have one question.
Yes.
The fund balance was increased by how much?
So the fund balance right now, as of March 31st, has increased by 14.1 million.
How much?
14.1 million
14 point, okay.
Yes,
as of March.
as of March 31st, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, then we can go on in to number 6. Discuss the approval of the purchase of equipment for the Instructional Technology Center.
Board members, this next item is to request approval for the purchase of 30 Clear Touch interactive panels. The purchase is being made from SHI in the amount of $182,625. We are using TIPS contract number 230105. The amount for the needed for the purchase has been budgeted in the Instructional Technology Center's fiscal year 2026 budget. The purchase of the equipment will be used to support interactive learning in classrooms throughout both campuses. Any questions on this one item?
Any questions? All right, that brings
you.
us into number 7. The to discuss the approval of a donor requested endowment match. Mr. Rene Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Rene Gonzalez, Director of Development. I bring before you an item. We have a family of community leaders that are asking to increase their investment in our nursing students $50,000, and they're asking the board to also match that $50,000. That would take their endowment to $314,000, which is creating a good amount of interest. And the funds would come out of the scholarship restricted account, which is an account that is used for both matching grants and matching scholarships.
They've been so generous to us, extremely, extremely generous.
And we've been talking, they have a goal for this grant, so we're getting close to
We're gonna
meeting with them,
get-
and we continue to have dialogue with them.
Yeah.
And to reach that goal for their family.
Thank you. I think there's no problem in that.
Right.
Number 8.
Thank you.
Discuss the amendment to the resolution requesting that the Laredo College Board of Trustees approve the submission of a grant application by the Laredo College Grant Office for $78,152 for the 2026-2028 Operation Stone Garden Grant Program of the State of Texas Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office. Mr. Lozano.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Gabriel Lozano, Director of Grants, for the record. This is just an item that needs to clarify some of the verbiage that was in the resolution that was approved on the 26th. Under one of the sections, we designate a financial officer, and we had the wrong name. Well, it didn't match what the grant application had. So this is just a technicality. We're just asking for ratification to do a new resolution with the correct name, and that way the grant can be processed.
Right.
And this is a request that's coming from the state where he filed the grant. And so because Ms. Carrion is the one who actually downloads the funding, and so we have to
We
change the
have
name.
to change the
Yes.
name. Exactly. Any questions or comments?
So all the parameters of the grant stay the same.
Exactly.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
I read that last night.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that ends the meeting. Does anybody have anything else to say? No? That's it? Anybody, motion to, you want a motion to close this?
In reference to,
You want,
yes, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
and I second. Any questions? Then the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
We stand adjourned.
Yes, we're done.
Thank you.
That was easy.
That was short.
That was very short. That was good today.
We're going to take a 5-minute break before we start the next meeting.
April 28, 2026, and this is the building committee meeting.
One moment, please. Mr. Villarreal, can we start the recording as well?
Oh,
Hold on.
you let us know when we're ready.
It's still recording? All right. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
So again, it is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. It is approximately 12:30 PM, and this is the building committee meeting. I call this meeting to order. I'm going to go ahead and call roll call. Chair Cindy Liendo is currently in a class, so she'll join us later. Ms. Karina Caria Elizondo is absent. Adriana Alexander is absent. I currently am present, Esteban Rangel. We have Ms. Ernestina Tita Vela present with us. We have Judge Mercurio Martinez present here with us as well.
Thank you.
Item number 3, discussion to approval of the South Campus electronic doors. Mr. Chavez, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chavez.
Oh, Mr. Vela, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, members of the board. Cesar Vela, VP of Finance and Administration for the record. This first item is to request approval for the purchase of equipment and installation services for the South Campus Electronic Door Access Project in the amount of $286,428. The equipment and the services will be procured through the vendor Computer Solutions using the contract Omnia EV 2370. The project includes the door access panels, Bluetooth card readers, door hardware, cabling, labor, and programming for implementing an electronic door access system at the South Campus. So the benefits of an electronic door access solution include remote door management, audit trails of after-hour access, and instant credential revocation for lost cards or when an employee separates. The system will also allow our campus police department to lock all exterior doors of the South Campus buildings at the click of a button during emergency situations. The equipment and the installation services are budgeted in the 2026 equipment line item under technology support. The buildings that are included in this project are the College of Health Sciences building, the AAC building, the Camilo Prada Child Development building, Raquel Gonzalez Protective Services building, the Trevino Fitness building, and Safarini Library, again at the South Campus. All the exterior doors will be retrofitted with electronic hardware and one card reader, which will be installed on the door closest to the parking lot. The work is expected to be completed in 3 months. So the vendor has assured us that the project will be completed by the end of August. Any questions on this one line?
Long overdue. That's all I have to say. I mean, good job.
And this is just, this is phase 1, phase 2, which we are going to include in the 27 budget will be the Fort McIntosh campus. So we're starting off with the the South Campus, and then we'll address the Fort McIntosh campus with the 27 budget.
And just with a click of a button, they all close, right? And lock?
Yes, so they'll be able to control it from a central location. And then the other thing is that after hours, employees will have to swipe their card, and that will help us identify who's coming in after hours and stuff.
That's good. And and Dr. Ramirez just told me they're on a schedule. So a certain time, they automatically close
close.
or they open. So that's a good thing. Any other questions? No? Okay. Item number 4, discussion the approval of change order for sewer line replacement project, Mr. Vela and Mr. Tijerina.
Yes, this next item is to request approval for a change order in the amount of $43,725 to Mage for Good Ltd. Also known as C4 Construction. This is for the project, the sewer line replacement project here at the Fort McIntosh campus. Back in December, we had work done to replace a line that connects campus police, HR, the corral, the administrative annex building, sewer line. During the work, they did encounter several unforeseen items. We do have a lot of infrastructure that runs through that area. We have water lines, shield water lines, and fiber lines that run through that area. So the contractor wasn't able to use heavy equipment to excavate. They actually had to add an additional 9 days of excavation by hand. And again, this was to not cause any damage to existing infrastructure in the area. They also had to relocate one of the lines because there was a conflict with a water line. So that work also had not been taken into account when the proposal was given. And there was also some elevation changes that had to be made in order for the line to be properly installed. So again, the change order total was for $43,725. And we are asking for approval to go ahead and pay the additional amount. It is coming out of the deferred maintenance fund. We do have funds available for this additional amount.
Mr. Vela, who's the vendor?
It is Mage 4 Group, also known as C4 Construction.
Yeah, I know that Dr. Ramirez has kept me updated with this, and I know it's a big issue for the main campus of this sewer issue. So I'm glad that this is getting fixed because it's been pretty bad here at the campus. Any other questions, Ms. Vela, Judge? No?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vela.
Thank you.
Item number 5, discuss updating the name of the Lamar Bruni Vergara Environmental Science Center to Lamar Bruni Vergara Environmental Center as per Laredo College Board Policy CLA Local Facilities Planning Facility Standards. Dr. Ramirez, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Board members, the idea here is just for practicality. The environmental and science are somewhat redundant. Therefore, just the practicality for marketing and everything else, we want to change the name for the new signage just to say environmental center. So Lamar Bruni Vergara will stay. The donors are actually coming in a couple of weeks in hopes of them liking what they see and will continue to support the project. But I think they're committed to coming and actually seeing what we've been able to do. As a reminder, we are having the reopening and dedication on Monday. I hope you all can join us. This board this and the previous board agreed to the renovation of the Lamar Bruni Vergara Environmental Center. And we've spent a little over $5 million in renovations there. And so the community can be very proud of not only what we've done, but the kind of instruction and support that we can provide and entertainment that we can provide for our community. We have a new aviary that was added to the area, and we have 2 peacocks. We're expecting 2 flamingos. So we're going to have at least 2 of everything. And a little like Noah's Ark, but anyway, it has turned out very nicely. If anybody's interested in taking a walk over there today from the board, we can certainly do that after this meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Ramirez. Just a real quick thing. We do not have to get the approval from the Lamar Bruni.
No, they've actually, we did discuss it with them. They're in full agreement that we should take off signs.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions,
Mr.
Bella?
President, I'm
Judge
sorry.
Martinez?
Mr. President, Mr.
Go ahead, Mr.
Guillermo Garcia here, legal counsel for the Laredo College. I just wanted a hyper-technical issue, but I just wanted to point it out. The CLA local, when it talks about naming of facilities, it's not necessarily renaming of facilities, but I wanted to point it out. It mentions, the policy mentions that the naming shall be brought before the policy, program and policy committee.
Okay.
And so I think this is the building committee.
I think
So I just wanted to point that out. I know it's on the agenda for this committee. The policy is silent as to renaming. It's as to naming is what the policy discusses, not the renaming. But I'd like to just point that out as a point of clarification. I looked at tomorrow's agenda. I don't believe it's on that one, but I may have missed it.
It's not under right now, Mr. Garcia, but if for whatever reason, we'll just not put it on the consent agenda, we'll just put it as an item full board for approval.
And
Okay?
that would be compliant with the policy because
Okay.
the policy is clear that only the board has the sole authority to name facilities. So
So if we could just make that change, if for whatever reason, I know that the agenda's already posted, we'll just make note that we'll extract it from the consent agenda and just put it as a regular board item, so then that way the full board can approve it.
very well.
That would suffice?
That would suffice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll make that change. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Any other questions from Ms. Vela or the judge? No? Okay, so then that concludes the building committee meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? There's a motion by Ms. Vela,
Second?
second by the judge. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Thank you. We are adjourned and it is approximately 12:42 PM and we are done with the building committee meeting. Thank you.
We got through pretty early.